And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
And you know what that means? It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you. And it was a busy week, a big week this week in the toy news department, as on Friday, Hasbro PulseCon went down, and of course we're talking about it in this very video. We're going to break it down, and I'm going to give my thoughts on what we saw, what we watched over there on their live stream. But before we get to that and all the other toy news this week, let's start with some housekeeping, of course. We're a week in. A week ago today, we launched our second, and when I say our, I guess I mean me, but we launched the second YouTube channel here. Thanks for everybody supporting over to that channel, as well as this channel, of course. And a lot of fun things being done on that channel. Very similar to what we do on this channel, but some extra twists, extra turns. One of those this week, of course, was our Lando Calrissian Top 5 countdown. Counted down my top 5 Lando Calrissian figures of all time. Also did a little peek under the tent, a little brand new room tour as I'm building a new display, getting ready for the big room tour, or big collection tour, I guess, for the end of this year probably is when we'll try to get that in. But a lot of cool stuff going up over there, a lot of other cool stuff to come. Got videos with my wife, building some extreme sets, few other things, and eventually here in a couple of weeks we'll get down to our weekly live streams on that channel, and some few other surprises to come in the channel variety, some few channel things to come as far as updates. A lot of cool surprises to finish off this year, so stay tuned to the channel. Best way to do that, of course, is to subscribe and check out that new YouTube channel over there. Make sure you subscribe that as well. Definitely appreciate that. But of course, the month of September almost over. Can you believe it? But of course, still got some time to get in, and part of the Patreon giveaway. Owen Hart Chase Rare Edition will be the giveaway over there on Patreon. Check that out for all the details there. And of course, Patreon, you guys know, both channels, you get all the new videos early over there, among other things, as well as giveaways once a month. So there it is. Check out the old Patreon. Check out both YouTube channels. But now let's dive into it. Let's dive into Hasbro PulseCon. And I'm not going to cover Star Wars, not going to cover Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. Not a whole lot for me anymore. Of course, we got a few Black Series stuff, which at this point I'm just dabbling in. We saw Star Killer. He is, of course, the Hasbro Pulse special item there that they had up for pre-order, but really not a lot of stuff to knock my socks off. It's really sad how my fandom of Star Wars, and not my fandom necessarily, but my figure fandom has really waned over the last couple of years. It's just kind of a slippery slope down. The Ahsoka series, I got through the first 2 episodes, been pretty busy the last couple of weeks. I'm going to hopefully get back into those. We'll see what happens. I think that'll be worth checking out. But Star Wars, nothing really there for me. Transformers, just can't do it. Just can't do it. We've talked about that on the channel. More on that soon on the channel. So stay tuned for that. And the Patreon members already know about that one. But let's start it off, and let's start with the appetizer. We're going to call this the appetizer. We're going to start with Marvel Legends. We're going to dive into the Marvel Legends stuff. But as a whole, I thought the PulseCon was a little bit low energy, honestly, there. As a guy that does a lot of presentations for his day job, we'll call it, I felt like it was fairly low energy. I felt like they needed to do something to get people fired up. And honestly, it felt like I was at a conference like I was last week for work, and you saw some of that in my figure hunt video. But it really felt almost like a business presentation. Like they were almost presenting to stockholders or presenting internally on some stuff. It didn't feel like a presentation out to the masses. Was that just me? I don't know. I felt like we needed some extra energy out there. Somebody needed some monster energy or something to really get going, get the passion going through, because I know, especially Marvel, Star Wars, all these groups, they're passionate about their job. At least you hope they are. We want to see some of that passion bleed through. So definitely some cool stuff shown, and let's dive into it. But definitely felt like a business presentation to me. I don't know. Maybe that was just me. You guys can sound off in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. But starting off with Marvel here, one of the worst kept secrets ever, of course, the Green Goblin and his glider. We saw pictures of that. We knew that was coming out a week or so ago. Those leaked, unfortunately, as always. But we did see some of that right there in our face. Definitely looking cool on that one. Definitely a pickup. Easy pickup on that Green Goblin. Same thing with Dr. Octopus. It's like things we've wanted out of our Dr. Octopus figures for so many years, man, they're throwing it all in this one right here. Very, very cool. Would love to see more of these bendy wires even to the next level in the future for a comic animated series of Dr. Octopus. But definitely like the looks of those 2 deluxe figures. Definitely looking really cool. More on those. When we get more images, they go pre-sale, all that kind of fun stuff. But the big news, I guess, where was the big news? Was this the big news for the Marvel? I don't know. You guys tell me once again. But another retro card wave. And I found it very interesting. They went with kind of a retro card wave on this set here. But it looks like we're getting some Spider-Man movie figures. And once again, another worst kept secret is we kind of had an inkling this was going to happen. We always know Hasbro wants every dollar out of our wallet. And guess what? So does NECA, Super 7, Mattel, and everybody else. But we got the 3 Spider-Men coming back. And now we got those as a 3-pack with their Spider-Man heads, but unfortunately not the unmasked heads. Well, here you go. If you snoozed on that one, and a lot of us knew, hey, eventually we're going to get this. Here, the day has come. So a lot of people grumbling about this. I'm not grumbling too bad because guess what? We talked about it. We knew this day would come. And to me, you keep that 3-pack with their Spider-Man heads on, this brand new threesome here, keep them with their masks off. So you get a little bit of yin and yang, a little best of both worlds. And thankfully for Hasbro, they didn't have to do this. And I could see this being a good business tactic. They didn't have to put those masked heads in there. They could have left those separate. Then people would be like, oh my gosh, I got to go back and forth, buy these. Thankfully, they gave us 2 heads with each one of these here, but definitely does work out. Definitely going to be a popular threesome. I think a lot of people are going to want this one. Definitely looks good. I have no issues with it. I understand what they're doing. I understand how it's going. Definitely going to be a pickup for me. I was kind of on the fence first, like maybe I'll just pass on this. I'm like, nah, I'm going to pick them up. I'll pick them up. So there it is. We got the 3 Spider-Man coming hot in that set, but that set is not done there, as we do get MJ, old Mary Jane, screen accurate, first time in the line, I guess you could say, at least this incarnation. So definitely looks good. One of those great characters you can use in street scenes, things like that, or use her as Mary Jane, use her as a person in your wrestling figure crowd. Definitely like stuff like this. And speaking of stuff like this, Matt Murdock, lawyer edition Matt Murdock, coming here as well. Another person that could be in a crowd, a street scene, something like that. Of course, he was in She-Hulk, he was in Spider-Man, of course, Daredevil series, so definitely fits in here. And probably going to be really good for customs as well. If you need to move some things around, do some stuff, definitely a possibility there. So some of that going on, and then only one villain in this wave, which was interesting. It was kind of Naked Sandman is kind of what it looked like to me. It's Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church. Shout out to Thomas Hayden Church. Big Kiss fan, big UFO fan, big heavy metal fan. Shout out to old Thomas Hayden Church. How do we get him to be a friend of the channel? That's a friend I welcome to the channel. We'll work on that in 2024. We'll see what happens. But Sandman coming in hot. I think this figure looks good. A little bit interesting with the all sand decor, but it is what it is. At least it's not a re-release of a prior edition. It's something new, and as usual, pass on it if you don't like it. If you love it, if you like it, hey, there you go, pick it up. But we did see that Marvel Retro Card Spider-Man wave. Definitely an interesting one. Definitely going to be a popular one, I do feel. Then we move on to the Hasbro Pulse exclusive. We knew this was coming. We saw this debuted at the little breakfast thing. I actually attended live in person at San Diego Comic-Con. We did a video on it. But Detroit Steel is coming in hot. So representing all of Detroit is Detroit Steel. Definitely an interesting one. Definitely a good exclusive. A reuse of the Hydra Stomper. Once again, one that's probably not going to be for everybody. I did pick it up, surprise, surprise, because I love a big figure. But I can see some people saying, I'm not really familiar with this character. I got a Hydra Stomper. I don't need this. I totally get it. But definitely a good exclusive, I feel, is Detroit Steel. I think it looks pretty good. Then we heard about a fan vote winner, and it is the Red Widow. So I'm not super familiar. Apparently she'll pair very well with Ursa Major, things like that. I'm not super familiar with this character, but I'm cool with a new character, a first time in the line character. I think that always is a good thing, especially for collectors that are deep into it. Definitely like something like this. So hey, we'll take it. We'll find out where she goes further on down the road, I guess is what we'll do. And then the big one that kind of came a surprise to me, maybe you, I don't know, Void Build-A-Figure Wave, and it is a comic Build-A-Figure Wave. And I guess we'll start with the Build-A-Figure Void. Void looking big, bad, nationwide like a young ZZ Top. Love the look of Void here. Definitely a big, imposing figure. It'll be very interesting when this figure does arrive, as the Build-A-Figures have been all right this year. They've just been all right for Marvel Legends. There hasn't been a ton of Build-A-Figures this year, but if this comes out in November or something like that, this very well could be the Build-A-Figure of the year at the end of the day. Definitely cool. A bit of a deep cut, I would say, but definitely what you want out of a Build-A-Figure. You want something big. You want something imposing. I'm definitely here for this. And then we saw some figures we did see, of course, at San Diego Comic-Con. We saw the comic Vision. We've had Visions in the past, so if you missed that one, of course, this one's going to have some of the new bells and whistles we're used to. So Vision coming back. Chris Starr, I've talked about that. That is going to be a fun unboxing. That is a trip down memory lane, nostalgia for me. Can't wait to talk about Chris Starr when that day does come. We get Black Panther celebrating Cape Season. Of course, we celebrated Cape Season this week on the other YouTube channel, Kyle Peterson 2.0, at Kyle Peterson 2.0 in your search bar. We did our top 5 Lando Calrissian figures, and Black Panther getting into the mood, putting on his fanciest, finest cape, this time with pinless joints, all the bells and whistles as well, so Black Panther coming back to it. We do get Namor, but Savage Namor. Oh, we got to spice up Namor a little bit. We're going to make him Savage. And then we got Namor Rita. Very cool to get those two together in the same series as well. And then 2 that we knew were coming, New Warriors Justice, really building out that New Warriors team. It's a slow build, but we're getting there, and I'm definitely here for that, so I'll be picking up Justice. And then Power Princess, definitely an interesting name. Character I'm not very familiar for, but we got to have that one to fill out the Squadron Supreme, of course. We've been unboxing those on the channel as well this year. So I'm here for that. Definitely an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one for the Marvel Legends team. Of course, they spent a lot amount of time talking about the Giant Man HasLab. About halfway point right now with about 30, 31 days left to go. Forever hold your peace if you don't want to back it. I did back it. I was like, I'll get to it eventually. And then I was reminded that, hey, guess what? You don't have to pay until it funds. If it doesn't fund, you don't have to pay. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well get it over with. Let's get this done. So I did back mine a couple days ago. So if you're on the fence, whatever, you got 31 days to still make your decision, 30 days. You can figure it out by then. But I think it looks cool. Once again, I talked about Detroit Steel. I love a big figure. So I absolutely do love a big figure. Now, some people are saying, oh, this isn't good. I'm good with my Toy Biz one. I get that. You like what you like. You don't what you don't. But this one is a much bigger figure. We did unbox the San Diego Comic-Con, I want to say 2015 exclusive on the channel this week. So we got to see the Giant Man in that one, in that incarnation. He's going to be a lot bigger than that one. So depends what you're looking for at the end of the day, but definitely they had to push that because that is the thing that's most pressing, I would say, for the Marvel Legends team right now. So besides that, I think everything was kind of usual suspects, usual kind of thing going on. We'll see what happens. Of course, some of those pre-orders up on Hasbro Pulse right now, so head on over there if you're looking for some pre-order action. But then we turn our attention to my favorite of all time. And really the answer is, or the question is, what is time? Because the G.I. Joe team here, they really did talk about time a lot. I felt like they were watching one of my videos. What is time? What's time? I don't know. And they obviously don't know what time is either, but they kept saying, oh man, we got to check. We're behind time. I think time was the theme of this classified thing. And I kind of was thinking, as I was watching this, if they didn't mention time all those times, they would have been on time. So it was a very weird thing. And once again, it all goes back to what is time at the end of the day, and none of us can figure this out. None of us can figure it out. How come it goes fast? How come it goes slow? It's just a wild thing, time. But I'm starting to sound like the classified team talking about time here, but let's dive into this one here. Of course, the Crimson set, the 3-pack. We got the Crimson Twins. We got Baroness. We got the 3-pack O'Doom. We knew that was coming. We saw it at San Diego Comic-Con. Well, now it is up for pre-order. About $90. Pretty expensive, but a pretty cool set. The power of magnets compel us. We know how that goes. But I definitely picked this one up. Very, very cool looking set. Can't wait to get this. Apparently in November that will be shipping out. We did see pre-orders go up. We saw pretty glamour shots. And man, I am here for a lot of these figures here. First up, Shockwave, an all-time favorite G.I. Joe of mine. Didn't get any play really in the cartoon series. I think he was in the Deke years, which the Deke years, man, very hit and miss. But apparently the classified team at Hasbro really diving into the Deke year stuff. And we're going to talk about that a little bit here as well. But Shockwave, an absolute all-timer. One of my all-time favorite Joes. A lot of fun playing with him back in the day. Of course, General Hawk, one of the true leaders of G.I. Joe, right up there with Flint. They're right there together. One thing I always loved about Hawk, man, he wasn't scared to go out to those front lines and lead from the front. He was not scared, just like my boy Flint. He wasn't making any crazy decisions like that no-good Duke. That no-good Duke that almost got the world destroyed, brought his brother in. Oh, this Duke thing. But one of the members of the G.I. Joe team over there at Hasbro did mention to me personally, said, hey, I know what you're talking about, Flint, and I 100% agree with it. So we're all on the same page, or at least some of us are. But General Hawk looks really good, an all-timer Joe, one of the funnest Joes to play with when I was a kid. Gonna be one of the funnest Joes to play with very soon. I can't wait to get him in the collection, so very excited about that one. We did see Helix. That's gonna be an interesting one, as that is an awfully deep cut. That's a more later years Joe. A lot of people don't know Helix, and it's totally understandable. I'm aware of her. I've had a couple of figures of her over the years, but I don't have a deep appreciation for her like I do that good old Lady J. Oh, Flint's best gal, Lady J. Love her, of course. But we'll see how this Helix does. Figure looks cool. We'll just see how she does at retail when that time does come. We also saw, of course, Ripper and Buzzer. Give me all the Dreadnoks. Give me all the Dreadnoks. And we're not done talking Dreadnoks here. We'll talk a little bit more in a little bit. But man, I'm here for the Dreadnoks. Absolutely love the idea of both these. Can't wait to get these. They just need to get Torch. They should have got Torch in there. Take Helix out, put Torch in there. That should have been that wave. Because now I'm just going to feel like I need that holy three of the Dreadnoks. I need those, and we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait for that Torch. But we know he's coming, so I guess we'll just have to sit there and wait. But then we did see some images and some fun stuff in the images I'm very excited for. We do get Big Boa coming here. Big Boa, an all-timer on the old schoolyard, the old playground. Played a lot with Big Boa. Him and Sergeant Slaughter had some epic battles when I was a little kid. Of course, we know he was supposed to originally be Rocky Balboa. That tie-in just never worked out. But Big Boa, very cool. And we get an unmasked head on him. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it is cool for the different ways. But at the same time, he always kind of had a bit of an air of mystery around him. At least for me, he did. But definitely cool. I'm here for the Big Boa. Where are we going to get his, brother? What was that one in the 25th anniversary line? I got him. That's an all-timer figure. It looks just like Big Boa, but it's different guy name. But he was from, Australia, and he came with a kangaroo. We need to get him in the future. Give me a kangaroo figure. I'm here for that. We did see Airborne. Mixed bag. I was never a big Airborne guy, but it is a cool Joe. It's an iconic Joe. A lot of people had back in the day, and of course going to go great with the Dragonfly when that day does come. So we got Airborne coming in hot. We also saw Quick Kick, another all-timer for me. I always talk about it. Snake Eyes, to me, I just like the Commando Snake Eyes. I wasn't a Ninja Snake Eyes. I like the Storm Shadow Quick Kick, and I liked Spirit. I like those three. I like that triangle of ninja action. I didn't need Snake Eyes in that mix. So Quick Kick, an all-time favorite. I am here for this one here. I love that he has some fists. They mentioned, we've heard people complaining about fists. Man, I love a good fist. Everybody that watches this channel knows I'm here for a fist all day long. And maybe they got the message. It somehow seeped through. I don't know, but definitely here for Quick Kick. Love the idea of Quick Kick. A little bit bigger backpack than I remember on Quick Kick from when I was a kid, but I'll take it. Beggars can't be choosers when you're dealing with your Quick Kicks, so definitely going to get him. Going to get his Fudgy Bar as well. Can't wait for that. Techno Viper coming in hot. Not an all-time favorite for mine, but we'll take it. We'll take a Techno Viper, I guess. And then one I'm very excited about here is Metalhead. Metalhead is an interesting one. One of the all-time coolest names in G.I. Joe. One of the all-time coolest figures and one of the all-time coolest looking G.I. Joe characters, or Cobra in this instance, from back in the day. Wasn't he technically a member of the Iron Grenadiers? I could be wrong on that. But one of the all-time classics. However, if you watch the Deke era G.I. Joe cartoon, one of the worst characters ever. He was right up there with the annoyingness of an Orko in some ways. One I've been having recent experience with is this Copper Kid. You know about this Copper Kid from Silverhawks? He almost makes you want to turn the channel. He is so annoying, that Copper Kid. First off, he's a mime. What's up with that? He comes from the land of the mimes. He's learning. He's trying to teach us stuff at the very end of every episode. Don't get me started on this Copper Kid from the Silverhawks, but he's got that Metalhead, has some of that annoying tendencies, and they made him kind of a goofball in that Deke series. Very disappointing for me, but I'm going to try to look past that because this figure, phenomenal. I cannot wait for this Metalhead one. Like I said, when I was a kid, loved that figure, recaptured a lot of that magic and taking it to the next level right here. Definitely here for that all day long. And guess what? Twice on Sunday, too. Yep, I said it. It's true. We also saw Mutton Junkyard. It was interesting they showed kind of the renders when we saw the live thing at San Diego Comic-Con, but we saw the renders here. Mutton Junkyard, another all-timer. Man, give me Law & Order. Give me Law & Order. Need those as well. Hopefully that's down the line as well, but Mutton Junkyard looked very, very good. Definitely here for that. We did see about some retro cards. They talked about that once again. Going to be a lot sturdier on the retro card front. We're getting Scarlet. Man, that first Scarlet we got, she's definitely going to the back of the shelf. This Scarlet's going right up to the front. This is what you think of when you close your eyes at night and you go to sleep and you're thinking about Scarlet. That's what you're thinking of. That's what you're thinking of. I think. At least I am. But then we also got Duke. We mentioned him. Of course, you got to have Duke. A lot of people did not like that first Duke as well. That whole first series, a lot of people not a big fan of. It's interesting to see the direction that's changed and morphed over the last couple of years. But this is definitely a more iconic looking Duke. They muscled him up too, which was an interesting one, which I'm a firm believer. Wrestling figures, Marvel figures, I don't care, whatever. I want them muscled up a little extra than what they really are in the comics, the cartoons, real life, whatever. I want muscled up to the next level. That's what I want out of my figures. Everybody likes things differently, but I'm okay with that with this Duke figure. Going to be another strong one. And then Rakondo, of course, we got Rakondo in his iconic Tiger Force gear. Well, apparently he's headed back to the old Joe team. He's got his classic Rakondo gear on as well. So that'll be an interesting one to see Rakondo, how well he does. He could be the sleeper of that threesome. Who knows? Who knows in that threesome? We'll never know. But that is the retro card. And then something very interesting here, and I could just hear the Valaverse team just like getting mad and throwing like a beer can at the TV screen or something, or their computer screen, I guess. Just like, what are they doing here? So we're getting 50th anniversary G.I. Joe Classified, celebrating 50th anniversary. Of course, we all know G.I. Joe started with, you know, the big 12-inch figures, the doll type figures, before they morphed to the 3 3/4. Now, I'm 3 3/4 all day long. I was not a big Joe guy. It was well before my time. I always say that was more my uncle's time period. So not for me, not really there, but they're bringing them down. They're bringing them into the classified line, and I guess we're getting kind of unnamed soldiers in some deluxe packs. We're getting the Action Soldier and the Action Sailor. Would have to imagine they'll expand on this and keep going, but it really felt like to me that they're saying, hey, we're seeing what Valaverse is doing out there. Now, there's no means that Valaverse is selling as much product as Hasbro is. It's just not possible with the distribution. But that definitely tells you they're looking at Valaverse's competition, and they're trying to take, and we always say Mattel, NECA, Hasbro, whoever, they want every penny, every dollar out of your wallet. They're looking at this saying, hey, we can cut this off with a little subline. We could take some of these Valaverse sales, beat our competition. That's what that read right through to me there. So there's always been some barbs kind of back and forth. I think more on the Valaverse side, obviously. But definitely an interesting take here. Not a huge fan of this. I don't know if I really need this. I would much rather have Law and Order. Give me Big Lob. Give me so many other characters. Apparently not in the cards as of right now. I'm sure we'll get them eventually. But definitely an interesting twist or turn. Be interested to hear your thoughts on these two. Are you picking these Action Soldier, Action Sailor up? I definitely am, and I might even pick up 2 of each one. And I like the idea that there may be generic soldiers you could use them as. But I don't know. It just feels a little forced. I don't know, maybe it's just me, it just feels a little bit forced right there. So we do get those coming. And then we did see, or I guess we heard, we didn't see anything as we got some announcements of what is to come. Here's some pipeline stuff that's coming. And it looks like we're getting a retro eel. So for those that don't want to pay up on the current prices on the eel, sit back, wait for the retro one to come out. Very interesting there. And some of these retro ones say, wait, do I need to army build that eel? I'll just buy one regular and one retro and I'm good. Because most of these army builders, I only need 2, maybe 3 of. That's me personally. But that's kind of what I saw right there. And then retro Snow Serpent. So what's that going to be? I'm guessing that retro Snow Serpent is going to be the Snow Serpent we already got without all the bells and whistles. He's not going to have Timber's dead carcass. I know it's not Timber, but I can pretend, can't I? But he's going to have Timber's dead carcass kind of removed, probably some weapons removed, and he'll just be an OG Snow Serpent. To me, this is the one to army build on because you have that leader one with the pelt going there, and then you can have the rest of them kind of flanking him on the side. So that's how my brain does work there. And then retro Beachhead. If you guys remember Beachhead Mania back in the old Cobra Island days, man, oh man, people were worked up about Beachhead. There's no doubt about it. So now people are getting another chance at this Beachhead character. Definitely going to be more retro style. Not a bad thing. Beachhead, another all-time favorite character of mine. I'm definitely here for this one. And then I said, we're not done talking Dreadnoks yet. Naugahyde. So once again, we go back to that Deke series. We talked about Metalhead. Now we're getting Naugahyde. And strangely enough, I had a dream like 2 nights ago about Naugahyde. And I saw him out in the woods. And I was on a walk. And he was there. And he had his big boars with him. Weirdest dream ever. And I guess it ties all into this. I'm just very close. I'm on the cusp of being clairvoyant is what this means to me. But Nagahide, an all-time favorite for me back in the day, of course, another Dreadnought member, and it sounded like they alluded to he might have a couple of boars with him, so I'm definitely looking at him as being a deluxe figure, but definitely a cool one. I'm definitely here for that. Then we do get a Night Creeper, an iconic Ninja, I guess we'll call it there, so we got that one coming. And then they did announce another vehicle. We're going to get the Cobra Ferret. So the Ferret, a very, very iconic vehicle. I always think of the Crimson Twins when I think of the Ferret, but I guess we're getting that as well. So that is it. That wraps up PulseCon. Like I said, a lot of stuff announced here. Just would have liked to see a little bit more energy. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a weird place today watching it here. But definitely a lot of cool stuff to come. Stuff I'm very excited for. This Joe stuff is absolutely next level. For me, the Mattel team and the Joe team are going side by side. Who is having better stuff? And I'm talking about a WWE Mattel team. There's a lot of good stuff between those two coming out on a very consistent basis. And when I think of consistent, I think of, you know, G.I. Joe, it seems like we get a new figure about every month. Mattel, we get a new wrestler about every week or so. You know, nothing against the Super 7s, things like that, but they get figures, you know, every couple of months, twice a year, maybe something like that for a G.I. Joe brand. So definitely the ones that are putting out stuff consistently. To me, the WWE Elite team over there and the Hasbro G.I. Joe team are really killing it. But it kind of makes sense since, hey, those are my two favorite properties from when I was a little kid, and who are we fooling? Still my favorites to this day. So very cool stuff, very exciting stuff there. Can't wait to see when some of these pre-orders do go live and what else is in store for us to balance out the end of 2023. So there it is. There's the PulseCon review. Now we got to turn our attention to all kinds of other toy news that went down this week. But we're not done with the action figure news this week. I got some more notes to talk through, but of course the lion's share was Hasbro PulseCon. We've been waiting for a while for that one, and now that the dust has settled there, we can move into some other stuff, and let's dive into this stuff. And let's start with some wrestling news. Very, very quiet on the Mattel and Jazzwares fronts. Mattel extra quiet as of late. Only really one news item from Mattel this week. And same thing with Jazzwares. But we're going to start off with old Zombie Sailor toys. Zombie Sailor coming in pretty quick here. We are supposed to be getting Heels and Faces Series 2. We've been saying that since about July. But apparently they're finally about ready to be here. So I guess we'll see it. Seeing is believing at this point. But they should be here fairly soon. We'll get those. We'll get Bastion Booger. We'll get a lot of that stuff all at once. And then Zombie Sailor has said he's going to let us all in on what he's been working on, some of the other figures. So I guess we're going to sit there and wait. Maybe there'll be a Zombie Sailor con here where they'll announce all that kind of stuff. Who knows? But he did show once again. We saw this months ago, but we saw another picture this week of the Brian Pillman. And this one is going to be scaled more like the Mattel Elite style than the retro style figures. So if you're into Brian Pillman, you're into the Elite style figures, this could be for you. It'll be interesting to see what the final price point is on something like this. It's going to be interesting. If it looks and scales with Mattel but is $60, is the fans going to pay that? I don't know what's going to happen. I guess we'll wait and see how that all shakes out, and we'll talk about it here in the Toy News of the Week when that time does come, so stay tuned for that. We also saw glamour shots, and you know what that means, right around the corner from shipping. We did see the Hook Ringside Collectible exclusive. It's your deluxe Hook is what we got going on here, as he does have a hoodie. He does come with a bag of chips. He does come with the FTW belt. Definitely a deluxe version of Hook here. And Hook, a guy that's been sweeping the nation in a lot of ways, and also sweeping my neighborhood, I guess, with my daughter dressing as Hook half the time, not knowing who Hook is. It's a wild thing. But it is what it is. But Hook coming here, got to think that's shipping in the next couple of weeks, so we'll look on for that. And then moving our way over to Mattel. Unfortunately, this coming Tuesday, we were all set to pre-order, or hopefully just straight up order and have them shipped to us, but it was going to be the Mattel Creations exclusive Ultimate Coliseum Collection, George Animal Steel, and Rowdy Roddy Piper. That has been canceled, and nobody knows, at least as I'm filming this right now, when those are going back up. I'm hoping it's just a couple of week delay, maybe. I guess we'll see what happens there, but we'll have to stay tuned to when we can get our Piper and George Steel Coliseum collection, so more to come on that as well. A little bit of retro news this week, very interesting one, and I actually just got mine in through the door right before I started filming this, so we'll unbox it on the channel. Takahashi, two different versions of Takahashi via Ringside Collectibles and, of course, Epic Toys. The former Cella, I guess, in some ways. They bought the company, as we do know. We did unbox a lot of those last week on the channel. Check out those videos. When you got that, those did just ship out from Ringside Collectibles. As usual, head on over to Ringside Collectibles, use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. A lot of wrestling unboxings coming this week on the channel with some new AEW, so stay tuned for all that. Keeping it with retros a little bit, KWK, PN News, yo baby, yo baby, yo. Those were the rallying cry. That was the war cry of one PN News back in the 90s when I was a little kid watching WCW. I was all in on PN News, but he is coming to KWK. We are in the midst of the pre-order right now. Definitely be getting that if you want to, or forever hold your peace, as the pre-order does end on September 30th. I like a deep cut like PN News. I'm here for PN News. I like a big dude. I like a big figure. And I was of the generation where, man, that PN News, man, he's just spitting out mad rhymes. He was a rapper to the next degree back there from me. Just a rap expert, really, at the end of the day, is what I am. I claim to be it all the time, but definitely, I like PN News. I'm definitely here for something like this. But you got till September 30th to add PN News to the pre-order, or forever hold your peace, as one may say. So there you go. We got that one. Grapplers gimmicks with some of the retro figures. Of course, I got Minimum Mission. We'll be unboxing those on the channel very soon as well, so stay tuned for that. But we got Grapplers and gimmicks. We got Davey Boy Smith, which is interesting here. I don't know if this is one we necessarily needed, as we do got a very good Hasbro one from back in the day. But definitely looks really, really good. It's kind of the same era, same style of hair things, just a different body mold going on. But it does look good. There's no doubt about it. So if you're into Davey Boy Smith, that pre-order's got to be coming very, very soon. And those figures from the Grappler and Gimmicks line, they're turning and burning. They're going a lot faster than some of the other toy lines we deal with. So definitely kudos right there. There's no doubt about it. We also saw from Grapplers and Gimmicks, one out of left field. I'm very interested to see how this one sells. I'm not sure, do I need this in my collection? I don't know if I do, but part of me says I do. Part of me says I don't. But we are getting an Elite Style, once again, Elite Style, Grapplers and Gimmicks, Kurt Fuller. And you're like, who's Kurt Fuller? That's the same thing I said. But it is a character actor from the 80s. We've all seen his face. You just didn't know his name. Of course, No Holds Barred, I have to imagine his crowning achievement, his best acting role ever. Who knows? He could have won an Oscar somewhere else, but I know him from No Holds Barred. Whenever I see him, like, oh, there he is from No Holds Barred. Well, we're getting a figure of him. So kind of like a manager figure, I guess you could say in some ways. Much like Zombie Sailor coming at us with Brian Pillman, we're getting Kurt Fuller. It'll be very interesting to see the price point on this Kurt Fuller figure and how much of a demand is there for a Kurt Fuller figure. This isn't quite Arnold Schwarzenegger or Terry Funk from Roadhouse. This isn't something like that. So very interesting on the minimum order quantities on this one and how that one's going to all net out there. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely different. And I got to give them kudos where kudos are due. It's all about taking chances from time to time. Sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed. But at the end of the day, hopefully you'll learn something. As we always say on the channel, constant learning, constant improvement. And that's what we're looking at here with Kurt Fuller. So that's going to be an interesting one to see where that ebbs and flows too. So definitely going to be interesting right there. Some miscellaneous news to fill out the week here. McFarlane Toys. Some new Spawn figures went up for pre-order in all the usual places. Entertainment Earth, use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10% all in-stock items. $79 more, ships free as we do know. But we got Disruptor and the Reaper. We got two figures. Both look pretty cool. Both definitely after my time of reading Spawn comic books in the 90s to the late 90s, I guess I'd say. But definitely do look cool. I'm sure I'll break down and buy these. I love the Spawn line, so definitely will be interested in these when the time does come. We also saw from DC McFarlane this week, we saw Storm. Apparently it's like a seahorse that Aquaman rides around on. Man, I'm here for this. Now, I'm not into this Aquaman movie stuff line, but I will probably pick this one up. I might play a little of that long game, wait for a deal on it for an eventual clearance item or a sale price. But this would look really cool with maybe Merman riding this thing around. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. But definitely a cool looking figure. And I love Todd McFarlane gives us really crazy stuff like this. Definitely cool because this is a one and done mold for the most part. So definitely got to give a shout out to that right there. We did see Boss Fight with more Popeye figures. Looks like a bit of a repaint line this time. I've been all in on this Popeye line. I'm not sure what to think about these. I'm not sure if anything, it could be a long gamer. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens here. But we get some more Popeye figures out if you need some of those. We've unboxed the first two series on this very channel, so make sure you check that out if that does interest you. NECA announced this week some Masters of the Universe masks. So Halloween season right around the corner. Got to figure out what I'm going to go as. Maybe I won't go. Maybe I'll just go as me. That's scary enough. Who knows? But definitely some cool ones. I'm definitely here for some Halloween masks. I think this is a cool idea. Very cool if you want them just for display, or you want to use them as part of a Halloween costume, you can do that. So we did see those this week. We did see some Super 7 news, and I guess that's where we're going to close off the toy news this week, is Super 7 coming in extra hot this week. Very excited to see this, as we did see it at San Diego Comic-Con, and now here it is. What is it? It is the reaction style Cobra Mothership. Now, when I was a little kid playing with my G.I. Joes, this was one of the most wanted things I wanted. I said, man, how cool would it be to have my aircraft carrier just the center of my Joe universe, but have a mothership I could have there right next to it and kind of have those guys battle it out. Well, all these years later, here we are. Of course, going to go great with your reaction figures, but when I see this as those that collect the 3 3/4, those that have a setup display of that, you can mix this in with your iconic old school Joes. I think that is so, so cool. I am here for that all day long. Definitely looks awesome. Cannot wait to see what this one's all about. It'll be very interesting on the price point, because it is for reaction, so reaction are usually cheaper than your Ultimates. So if Cat's Lair is, let's call it $700, is this going to be $300, $350 shipped? It'll be interesting to see where that nets out. I guess we'll find out more in October. But the mothership is upon us, and I'm not talking about WCW Saturday Night, for those that got that reference. And then finishing up here, Cat's Lair. Of course, that ended last Sunday night. The Cat's Lair is in the book. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked at how cool this thing is when they finally see it in hand. I was very fortunate. I got to see it at San Diego Comic-Con, got to see it at PowerCon, and it's just a jaw-dropper. It was one that I just couldn't believe I was seeing with my own eyes. Can't wait to have it in my collection. We'll see where I end up putting it. I think that's what a lot of us have to figure out over the next year or so, where we're going to put something like this. But we got to 4,223 backers for this bad boy. Very, very cool. And thankfully, we got a tier unlocked. That always feels pretty good. So tier 1 was unlocked on that one. So we were getting a little table and a little accessory pack. Definitely feels like a free throw-in. I'm definitely here for that. So definitely cool on the old Thundercats front. We'll see what happens next. We should see some Ultimates. There should be some things launching from Super 7 this fall, of course. So we should get the Slythe Army, those 3-pack of reptiles, the Astral, or is it Astral? Ghost Jaga, Chitara Glow-in-the-Dark. Some of those should be shipping fairly soon, I think. So we'll stay tuned to that as well. But that is it. A busy, busy toy news this week. You guys tell me in the comments your thoughts on the toy news this week. But we can't forget Album of the Week, and this week is one that's not for everybody, but a very good surprise that brought a smile to my face. And I always say it, you guys know Motorhead's my favorite band. I love Lemmy. Lemmy could read the phone book, and I'd buy that CD. I'd stream that album. I'd be all in on that. Well, this week we did get the Headcat. For those that are deep into the Motorhead fandom, that is Lemmy's other band. It is called the Headcat, with Slim Jim Phantom, of course, from Stray Cats fame, I should say. They had a band for many years, many a live album, and that's what we got this time, is we got them live in Berlin. So very cool to hear an unreleased Lemmy concert. It is the Headcat, like I said, so they do some originals, they do some old classic favorites, because at the end of the day, I think Lemmy, much like myself, just a classics guy. He loves the greats like Carl Perkins and Chuck Berry. He loves that kind of stuff from way back in the day, and that's what he performs in a lot of these Headcat concerts. So I was very happy to get this one. It's one of those ones you pre-ordered 6 months ago, just shows up at your door, and you're like, oh yeah, all right. And that's where I was this week with the Headcat. So the Headcat live in Berlin, album of the week this week. So that is it. What is your album of the week? What are your thoughts on Hasbro PulseCon? Was there anything you were passing on? What were your thoughts on that one? Let me know in the comments. Then, of course, the other toy news, let me know what's going on down there as well. Of course, don't forget to like this video. You made it this far. You might as well. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and Kyle Peterson 2.0. We'll probably do a giveaway in relation to that channel here very soon. I got a few things that I think you guys might be interested. So stay tuned to the channel. Stay tuned to social media, SirPaul64. Of course, over there on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Instagram and Threads. I'll probably announce it over there as well in the weekly purchases video as well. So definitely be staying tuned to all that kind of stuff. But don't forget to like this video, as I always do say. And don't forget about the Patreon for your chance at the Owen Hart, but also for early access to both channels' videos and a lot of exclusive stuff. A lot of stuff going on over there. A lot of surprises to come as well. Definitely appreciate all the support. You can also support channel ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So for the toy news of the week, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.